Lesson 2. Choose the right research method for your buyer. Most customer research fails because founders use the wrong tool for the job. Surveys, interviews, and observation each yield different kinds of data. If you do not know which method matches your current question, you will collect the wrong kind of evidence. This lesson only works if you have already written out your assumption register from Lesson 1, because we are going to use those priority assumptions as the questions we need to answer. In this episode, you will define a specific research goal, identify your research context, select the right method, and draft your interview or survey questions. Most customer research fails because founders use the wrong tool for the job. Surveys, interviews, and observation each yield different kinds of data. If you do not know which method matches your current question, you will collect the wrong kind of evidence. This lesson connects the method to the context. Exploratory research is for when you do not know what you do not know. It requires open-ended interviews. Validation research is for when you have a hypothesis and need to test it. Surveys can work. Segmentation research is for when you need to classify different buyer types. Quiz funnels and behavioral data are the tools. The lesson provides a decision matrix to help you select the right method for the specific question you are asking. Here are the key takeaways. First, surveys give you breadth, interviews give you depth, and observation gives you reality. Each is powerful for different questions. Second, asking customers what they want in a survey yields unreliable data. Asking them to describe a past experience yields useful data. Third, the goal of research is not to prove your assumptions right. It is to discover what you are missing. Fourth, choose your method based on the question you are asking. The method must fit the context, not the other way around. And finally, the best research uses a combination of methods. Interviews reveal what to measure. Surveys measure it at scale. You have two frameworks for this lesson. First, the research decision matrix. This matches your research goal to the appropriate method. It asks, what do I need to know, and who can tell me? It uses the context to decide between interviews, surveys, observation, or data analysis. Second, the evidence triangulation model. This combines three sources of evidence: what people say, what people do, and what the data shows. It ensures you are not relying on a single, potentially flawed, method. Imagine asking a customer to imagine a problem they have never articulated. They will struggle. Imagine asking them to design the solution. They will design something that feels safe, not something that solves their deepest pain. The failure is not in the customer. It is in the method. This lesson protects you from that failure by teaching you to match your research method to your specific context. You will learn the difference between exploratory interviews, validation surveys, and segmentation quizzes. You will apply a decision matrix to your own business questions. The output is a research plan, a document that names the specific method you will use, the questions you will ask, and the evidence you are looking for. The research plan you build here is the bridge to Lesson 3. It ensures that when you interview customers, you are not collecting opinions. You are gathering evidence. The output for this lesson is your research plan. Let's build your research plan. Back in Lesson 1, you wrote your priority assumptions. We're going to use those to define your research goal. First, define your research goal. What do you specifically need to know? Naming the exact question is the first and most important step. Be precise. What are my customers struggling with? Is too vague. What specific problem are they paying the most money to solve right now? Is better. For example, you might ask, I need to know which of three problems, low sales, bad copy, or weak product, is costing my customers the most money right now. Next, identify your research context. Who are you asking? When? Where? The context shapes which method is appropriate. A B2B sale with multiple stakeholders requires a different method than a B2C impulse purchase. For example, my customers are B2B founders. They are busy. They will not complete a long survey. I need to do short interviews. Now, select your method. Use the decision matrix. If you need depth and are exploring, choose interviews. If you have a hypothesis and need to test it, choose a survey. If you are segmenting, choose a quiz or behavioral data analysis. For example, I am exploring. I do not know if I am right about their main problem. I will conduct 10 exploratory interviews. Finally, design your questions. Write your interview or survey questions. For interviews, focus on past behavior, not opinions. Ask, what did you do? Not what would you do? Avoid leading questions. Test your questions on a colleague first. For example, instead of, "Do you struggle with marketing?" ask, "Tell me about the last time you tried to acquire a new customer. What happened?" Pause the video now and complete these 4 steps in your workbook. Your to-do list for this lesson. First, write down the specific question you are trying to answer. Second, describe the context of your research. Third, select your method using the decision matrix and justify your choice. Fourth, draft your interview or survey questions and test them on someone who is not a customer. Finally, complete the exercise and reflection to finalize your research plan. Your research plan is the blueprint for Lesson 3. It ensures you are not just collecting data, but collecting the right kind of data. Let's look at a case from HubSpot. HubSpot's early research revealed that most companies struggle to implement inbound marketing. They believed the problem was technical complexity. Surveys and interviews initially confirmed this hypothesis. However, their customer research team noticed a disconnect. Many users with the right technical skills still failed. What they did was switch from a survey method to observational research. They conducted live workshops with customers and watched them build campaigns. They discovered the real problem was not technical skills, but strategic alignment. This insight shaped their entire product roadmap. The outcome was a 200% increase in user adoption, a completely refocused product direction, and a doubled customer success rate. Now, apply this to your practice. First, identify. HubSpot discovered that their original method gave them the wrong answer. Where in your business are you using a method that might be giving you the wrong signal? What are you assuming is true because you asked one way and never verified another? Second, what to do. Consider your priority assumption from Lesson 1. What method would give you the most reliable evidence about whether it is true? Name the specific method and the question. Third, the outcome. If you were to switch from your current method to a more appropriate one, what specific new insight would you expect to gain? How would that insight change your approach to your product or marketing? Pause and write your answers. Here are some execution tips. The most common shortcut is to pick the easiest method, a survey, instead of the right one. This happens because interviews feel harder. The cost of easy data is low quality and wrong conclusions. Real completion looks like a research plan that makes you slightly uncomfortable. If it is easy, you are not asking the right questions. The method you choose determines the evidence you gather. A bad method produces bad data, and the trap is asking for opinions instead of facts. What do you think? Is a dangerous question. What did you do? Is a safer one. Pause the video now and open your workbook to the Lesson 2 worksheet. In the first section, under Goal, write your exact research question. Be specific. In the second section, under Context, write down who you are researching and when and where. In the third section, under Method, write which method you will use and why. This worksheet is your blueprint for gathering data. It ensures you are not doing research for the sake of research, but collecting data you can actually use. When you start Lesson 3, your plan will guide every conversation. Here is your progress tracker. Check Research Goal Defined, when you can state the exact question you need to answer in one sentence. Check Context Described, when you have described who you will talk to and when. Check Method Selected and Justified, when you have chosen a method and can explain why it fits the context. And check Questions Drafted, when you have written 5 to 10 specific questions that avoid leading language. You have built a research plan. In Lesson 3, you will execute this plan to build your raw problem inventory. The quality of that inventory depends on the quality of this plan. This lesson's output is your research plan. Use the calculator to check your method fit. First, define your research goal as exploratory, validate, or segment. It should match your method. Second, note your chosen method. The benchmark for exploration is interviews. Third, rate your confidence in your choice from 1 to 5. A score of 4 or higher is the benchmark. Rate your confidence. If it is below 4, reconsider your plan. A good method fit is the foundation of reliable evidence. For this exercise, imagine you are wrong. What method would reveal that most clearly? What would a customer have to say to prove your assumption false? Design a question that would make you uncomfortable to ask because it challenges your core belief. Write the question. Now imagine the honest answer you are afraid to hear. Write that down too. For reflection, you have drafted your questions. Which one are you most afraid to ask? The one that might prove your priority assumption false. Write down why you are avoiding it. What would change if you asked it and got an honest answer? For research, look up The Mom Test by Rob Fitzpatrick. It is a practical guide to avoiding bad customer conversation data. Focus on the chapter about bad data and how to avoid it. Write down one rule from the book you will apply to your interviews. For action, your assignment this week is to schedule and conduct your first exploratory interview. You do not need to complete all 10. Just start. Book one conversation with a customer or prospect and ask the questions you drafted. This is your homework. Next time, we take your research plan and build a raw inventory of customer problems from the data you collect.